I am the bodyguard of a powerful mob boss. When the boss's son returned to the country, he stared at me in a daze. The boss inquired, "Do you know each other?" I responded, "Not well." That evening, Feng Chang sought to kiss me and teasingly lifted my garments. "Not well? Brother, I am already quite familiar with your body." 1. I languidly leaned against the wall, a cigarette dangling from my lips, allowing him to assert his weight upon me. After 5 years apart, he had grown taller and more robust. The little rascal's hands wandered to my waist, and he showed no signs of restraint, his fingers probing lower. Another touch and there would be trouble. I narrowed my eyes, grasped his wrist, and murmured a warning. "That's enough." Feng Chang did not resist. His palm pressed against my groin as he bent his head against my shoulder, grinning, "Brother, your body is saying it misses me terribly." The tone was one of smug arrogance, a confidence I had nurtured. I gently removed his hand and leisurely fastened my belt, saying, "Anyone who touches me like that, I enjoy it." I lifted his chin, scrutinizing his face closely. He remained as strikingly handsome as ever, with a visage capable of ensnaring my heart. However, having once been ensnared by his charms, I resolved not to be foolish again. I lightly patted his cheek, chuckling, "You're just average, really." 2. Once bitten by a snake, one is forever wary of ropes. Feng Chang was that snake. The year I met him, he had just turned 18, clad in a crisp white shirt and blue school uniform, exuding an air of rectitude. He played the drums in a bar band, standing out amidst a throng of flamboyant individuals. That blend of innocence and wildness was particularly alluring. At the time, I had just been released from prison and was working security at the bar, often finding myself in the midst of brawls, each one sparked by Feng Chang's antics. Whenever he casually tossed a ring or bracelet into the crowd, it would incite a commotion. Eventually, his penchant for stirring trouble led him to be cornered by a few drunken men on his way home. As fate would have it, I happened to be passing through the alley and saved him. The lad's shirt was torn, and he bore the mark of a slap on his face. Yet he leaned against the wall, cheering me on as I fought for him. I thought to myself, how could this troublesome boy be so reckless? I dispatched the 2 drunks, and Feng Chang sauntered over, lifting his foot to kick one of them in the groin, exclaiming, "Still want to mess with Grandpa?" The man yelped in pain. I inhaled sharply, pulling Feng Chang back. "That's enough." He instantly donned a cheerful smile, sweetly thanking me for the night. He then turned and kicked another, sticking out his tongue at me, "One for each is fair." I couldn't help but chuckle as I turned to leave. There was no need to intervene further. Feng Chang followed me home, standing at the foot of my building, pleading, "Brother, I have nowhere to go. You saved me, so let me stay the night." I inquired about his parents, to which he replied, "They are both gone." Looking at his beautiful face softened my heart. That moment of compassion led me not only to shelter him but also to share my bed with him. Feng Chang had a knack for seduction, and he cornered me in the bathroom, asking, "Brother, they all want to play with me. Don't you?" He tilted his head to kiss my chin, adding, "I won't let them. I'll only play with you." Who could resist that? To be honest, the first time I saw Feng Chang on the bar stage, I had already imagined indulging in him entirely. Now here he was, standing before me, uttering such provocative words. I was utterly defenseless. Later, as we lay in bed, he pressed against me, feigning fear of pain. I felt sympathy for his youth and allowed him to take charge. However, indulging in him once only led to another time. At his boldest, Feng Chang pinned me against the bar's staircase, biting my neck and whispering, "Don't let anyone hear." The noise in the bar was deafening. Our little game was inaudible, yet Feng Chang reveled in such antics, finding them thrilling, and I willingly indulged him. Once or twice was manageable, but as we continued, feelings began to shift. When I realized I had developed affections for him, I told Feng Chang we either commit or we part ways. He gazed at me, his smile radiant. "Brother, we've been committed all along. I gave you my first time. Do you really want to part?" At that time, Feng Chang was 18 and retaking his senior year. He was too young to think of the future, but I could not afford to be reckless. Having a criminal record, my life felt ruined, yet Feng Chang's future was still bright. I couldn't let him squander his potential alongside me in the streets. I began to guide him, urging him to focus on his studies. Feng Chang complied, abandoning his reckless ways and diligently preparing for his college entrance exams. To ensure his peace of mind, I quit my job at the bar, devoting myself to supporting him through his studies. During that time, I poured my whole heart into him, leaving nothing behind. But Feng Cheng deceived me. When former colleagues spoke of seeing him at a club, I dismissed their words. Yet eventually, I witnessed him emerge from a club with a group of wealthy young men, overhearing their conversation. "Hey, aren't you tired of that delivery guy? You should cut him off. He genuinely wants to support your studies." Another chimed in, "Does young Master Feng even need to worry about exams? He's heading abroad in July. Young Master Feng, what's it like to play with that muscular guy? Is it enjoyable? I've never tried that type." Feng Cheng shot him a glance, flicked the glowing tip of his cigarette, and retorted, "Speak less if you have nothing to say." In that moment, I felt an urge to confront Feng Cheng. Instead, I merely pulled out my phone and dialed him. He glanced at the screen but did not answer. His companion asked, "Young Master Feng, why aren't you picking up?" Feng Cheng frowned, irritation evident in his expression, murmuring, "Too strict." The ringing ceased, and I called again. Feng Cheng sighed, donned a cheerful facade, and answered sweetly, "Brother." It almost made me chuckle. He could really put on a show. I said, "Feng Cheng, turn around." 3. A sharp pain shot through my wrist, pulling my thoughts back to the present. Feng Cheng gripped my wrist firmly. "Who's touched you? Are you comparing me to someone else? Have you been with many others these past few years?" His tone was light, his eyelashes fluttering, as if my affirmation would bring him to tears. I shook him off, laughing lightly. "What's it to you? Of course it concerns me." Feng Cheng raised his gaze, his eyes shimmering with a hint of red. "You belong to me, solely to me. You can't try with anyone else." "Silly boy." Suddenly, there was a crash from downstairs, followed by Feng Ling's agitated voice. "Where's he go? I want you on E. Bring him here, right now. Tell him I'm unwell, he must come." Feng Ling was the younger son of my employer, Feng Ji, and Feng Cheng's brother. 4 years ago, he was captured by enemies, nearly losing his life. By chance, I rescued him, saving his life but leaving him with a crippled leg. Consequently, Feng Ji hired me as a bodyguard for the Feng family. Perhaps due to the extreme danger I had saved him from, Feng Ling's dependency on me reached an unhealthy level. Upon his return, he insisted on my constant presence, growing anxious and even frantic if I was away. I pushed past Feng Cheng and rushed downstairs. The living room was a wreck, everything smashable already destroyed by Feng Ling, who clutched his wheelchair tightly, breathing heavily in agitation. I approached him, knelt before him, and softly said, "Young master, I'm here." Upon seeing me, Feng Ling instantly burst into tears, his body relaxing as he said, "Ego, where have you been? I couldn't find you and I had nightmares. I searched for you everywhere. I'm here. Don't be afraid." I lifted him from his wheelchair and carried him upstairs, saying, "I'll watch over you while you sleep." Feng Cheng stood on the second floor, head bowed, posture rigid. As I passed, he tugged at the hem of my shirt, his voice hoarse as he softly called, "Brother." Feng Ling nestled in my arms, his head down, tightening his grip around my neck. I disengaged from Feng Cheng and ascended the stairs. Before closing his eyes to sleep, Feng Ling tightly grasped my hand and stubbornly pleaded, "Igu, please don't leave, all right?" He was even younger than Feng Cheng, and his feelings were all too easy to decipher, a child's possessiveness. I gently ruffled his hair and reassured him, "I want to leave. Now sleep." Later in the night, my boss, Feng Ji, called to inform me that Feng Cheng was in trouble. He had ventured out in the dead of night to race against enemies, and the opposing side had tampered with his car, nearly sending it over a cliff. This escalated into a brawl. I'm in Lu City and unable to extricate myself. Could you go check it out? By the time I arrived at Eagle Head Mountain, chaos reigned. Feng Cheng was brandishing a knife, poised to stab young Master He in the eye. I shouted, cursing, and rushed over to seize his hand, commanding, "Calm down." The tension in Feng Cheng's muscles gradually eased as he raised his bloodied face to me, saying, "Brother, I almost died just now. Wanting just one of his eyes isn't too much to ask, is it?" He chuckled slightly and released the knife, saying, "But if you don't let me take my revenge, I won't. I'll be obedient, brother." He looked up at me with bright, eager eyes, like a puppy awaiting its owner's praise. "You love it when I listen to you." The way he gazed at me made it seem as if I were his entire world. I could bully him, ravage him, possess him, but it was all a facade. I swallowed hard, diverted my gaze, confiscated his knife, and pushed him behind me. Scanning the area, I found a steel rod and struck young master He's knee with it before he could rise. Revenge must still be taken, I asserted, but it could not be Feng Chang who struck. I was employed by the Feng family to handle the dirty work. I tossed a business card onto the moaning young master He. Call this number. The Feng family will cover your medical expenses. Take care, don't end up a cripple. After discarding the rod, I pulled Feng Chang away. 4. As soon as we got into the car, Feng Chang pinned me against the driver's seat. Like a dog, he leaped at me, biting and kissing. He eagerly groped me, rumpling my clothes. I struggled, but he gripped my arm fiercely, not allowing me to resist. From youth to adulthood, the difference was stark. 5 years ago, Feng Chang would have found it difficult to restrain me. Now, however, we were evenly matched. He kissed me wildly, babbling nonsensically. I knew you wouldn't abandon me. You still love me. You are mine. His kisses traveled from my lips to my chin, then down to my neck. His kisses were heavy, somewhat painful but more exhilarating. Just as he said, we were intimately familiar with each other's bodies. Damn it, if this continued, I would be played with again. When his lips traced my lower abdomen, I seized his hair, yanked him back, and punched him. Get off me. Feng Chang licked his crimson lips, tugging at my hand as he descended. Brother, feel how much I desire you. I'm on the verge of exploding with longing. I tightened my grip around his throat and pushed him away. What are you pretending to be? A lovesick fool? Feng Chang, it was you who left first. 5. My indulgence of Feng Chang had reached a reprehensible degree. Looking back, it seems absurd. That night, when Feng Chang turned to see me, his face blanched instantly. I witnessed his panic as I hurled my phone at him, declaring, Feng Chang, I'm done with you. Just get lost. As I turned to leave, my heart felt hollow. Feng Chang chased after me, embracing me tightly, hot tears falling onto my neck. Brother, you heard me? Didn't you? I didn't mean those words. I didn't deliberately stay away from home. I'll be obedient from now on. Trembling in fear, he randomly kissed my neck and ears. Please, don't abandon me. He had the audacity to cry, to cling to me without letting go. It should have been me crying. I pushed him away, saying, Feng Chang, can you stop toying with me? I'm 28. I want someone to be with for life. I cannot afford this game. At that time, I truly loved Feng Chang. Aware that he was a deceiver, I still loved him, yet I couldn't kneel at his feet for him to trample upon. I was a person too, but Feng Chang wouldn't release me. He was skilled at clinging, sitting at my doorstep playing the victim. Like a dog, he was impossible to shake off. He would deliberately drink spiked drinks at bars, intentionally allowing others to take him away before my very eyes. He would watch me grow furious, rushing to his rescue, only to smile and kiss me, saying, if you don't come, I'll kill them and turn myself in. I trembled in rage. Feng Chang, do you want to self-destruct? Feng Chang, fervent, kissed my ears and throat. If you don't care about me, I will self-destruct. If you're indifferent, you can leave now and hand me over to someone else. I didn't leave. Couldn't. I couldn't bear to watch him with someone else. Feng Chang was like a poppy. Once touched, it was hard to break free. I knew he was a master of deceit, profoundly scheming, yet I was still resolute. Like a fool enchanted, 18-year-old Feng Chang had pinned me against the door, kissed my abdomen, knelt before me, wrapping his arms around my waist, making promises like a devout believer. Brother, I will never leave you in this lifetime. Please forgive me. I clutched his hair tightly, thinking, I simply cannot let him go. I hastily stitched up the wounds in my heart, telling myself to trust him just one more time. Yet, at the peak of my addiction, Feng Chang vanished without a word, suddenly disappearing. No explanations, no farewells, nothing at all. The vows spoken from his lips were as hollow as air. He would never change. He would never change in this lifetime. 6. I didn't mean to, back then, Feng Chang earnestly attempted to explain. I interrupted him. I don't want to hear it. It no longer mattered. When I desired to hear his explanation, he withheld it. Now, I had no interest in hearing it. I adjusted my clothes and asked, I just want to know, before you agreed to the race, did you know that car had problems? Feng Chang let out a laugh, candidly admitting, I knew. Knowing there was an issue and still getting in the car, risking his life. Was he using himself as bait to reel me in? This trick was all too familiar to Feng Chang. He enjoyed standing on the edge of a cliff, watching me fret over him, charging into the fray. I was terrified while he reveled in it. That sensation must have been exhilarating. Just a slight beckoning from him would provoke my emotions, watching me dance like a dog at his whim. Truly, it was despicable. It's been 5 years, and you're still playing the same old game. Don't you ever tire of it? Feng Chang, what are you trying to prove? Prove that I still harbor feelings for you? I tilted my head to look at him. To tell you the truth, if it weren't for the orders from Second Master Feng, I wouldn't have come to see you tonight. Feng Chang, you're no longer important to me. If you wish to die, do it far away. Don't stain me with your blood. The smile faded from Feng Chang's face. If I'm not important, who is? Feng Ling? You've taken a liking to him, so you no longer want me, is that it? His eyes reddened, emotions flaring, words tumbling out unfiltered. What is so good about him? He is not as good-looking as I am. He is a cripple. Can he even satisfy you? Do you find him appealing? Or is it just that you prefer the 18-year-olds? Shut up. I raised my hand and slapped him, trembling with fury. Feng Ling is your brother. Feng Chang. You can demean me, but don't demean him. Feng Chang turned his head from the force of my slap, his disheveled black hair falling into his eyes. He remained still for a long while. Eventually, he raised his hand to wipe the blood from the corner of his lips, softly stating, Feng Ling is not my brother. Raising his gaze, the dark eyes were cold and profoundly deep, exhibiting an unsettling tranquility. Brother, have you given your heart to him? How could I possibly give him my belongings? He is unworthy of you. I will show you that the only one deserving of you is me. Returning to the Feng residence, it was already the early hours of the morning. At 4 o'clock, the sky remained shrouded in darkness, yet the living room was aglow with light. Feng Ling sat in the living room, staring blankly at the television. Hearing a sound, he abruptly turned around and, upon seeing me, his eyes lit up. Igu, you're back. Feng Chang followed behind, standing at my back. Upon noticing him, Feng Ling tightened his grip on the armrest, his expression becoming somewhat unnatural, and called out to Feng Chang, Brother. Feng Chang did not even flicker an eyelid. I quickly approached, squatting before him. Why are you awake so early? Feng Ling lowered his gaze, a hint of sadness in his tone. I woke up midway, and without you here I couldn't fall back asleep. A pang of guilt washed over me. I had promised Feng Ling last night that I would keep him company. Yet, I had broken that promise. Feng Ling's gaze meticulously traversed my face, and suddenly, he raised his hand to touch my lips. Ego, why are your lips swollen? The coldness of his fingertip contrasted sharply with the heat of my lips, leaving me feeling somewhat bewildered. I kissed them. Feng Chang pushed forward from behind, leaning over me to shove Feng Ling's hand away. Look closely. Perhaps your tongue is swollen too. Feng Ling pressed his lips together, staring intently at Feng Chang, his face paling. Stop joking. Ego is a man, and so are you. How can you? I inhaled deeply, wishing to smash Feng Chang's head into the wall. I reached out to Feng Ling, saying, don't listen to his nonsense. I'll carry you upstairs so you can sleep a bit longer. Before I could even touch Feng Ling, Feng Chang suddenly kicked Feng Ling's wheelchair away a distance, bypassed me, and hoisted Feng Ling onto his shoulder. I'll take him up to sleep, he said, turning his head. Brother has also had a long night. Go rest. Feng Ling struggled in vain, calling out for help. Igu! I remained still, allowing Feng Chang to carry him away. Feng Ling could not continue to rely on me so heavily. After all, I was an outsider. Feng Yi had also hinted to me, saying, Hey, you cannot accompany Feng Ling forever. There are some hurdles he must navigate on his own. Over the past year, I had intentionally distanced myself from Feng Ling. Last night, it was he who had caused such a commotion. After Yi returned to Hangzhou, he gradually delegated a portion of his power to Feng Chang, telling me, Feng Chang is extreme in his actions. Keep an eye on him for me and I will be at ease. Feng Chang's methods were not merely extreme, they were reckless. His ruthlessness made it easy to forge enemies. Although the Feng family was engaged in business now, the circles they frequented were predominantly comprised of gangsters attempting to wash white. When pushed to the limit, violence was inevitable. On several occasions, Feng Chang had faced retaliation, barely escaping with his life. The most severe incident left him with a stab wound to the abdomen, resulting in a 3-month hospital stay. I had smoked half a pack of cigarettes outside before returning to Feng Chang, saying, Consider it a plea from me. Cherish your life a little. Feng Chang, with a sickly expression, shot back. If you give me a kiss, I'll cherish my life. A kiss would make him obedient in his studies. A kiss would keep him from going to the bar. A kiss would make him stay. All of it was a sham. I lowered my gaze at him, saying, Feng Chang, don't demean yourself. The 6 months spent with Feng Chang felt longer than 3 years. Every day was spent hustling outside, with very few returns to the Feng residence. On Ye's birthday, a banquet was held at home. The place was ablaze with lights while I squatted in the backyard smoking. Suddenly, I heard someone call out to me, Ego. Raising my head, I saw Feng Ling perched on the second-floor windowsill, asking, Ego, if I jump down from here, can you catch me? Almost choking on my smoke, I pointed at Feng Ling, saying, don't move, wait for me to come up. I dashed up to the second floor, scooped him down from the windowsill, my forehead already slick with sweat. Before I could scold him, Feng Ling suddenly wrapped his arms around my waist, squeezing tightly. 142 days. Ego, you haven't come to see me for 142 days. My throat tightened, and I replied hoarsely, I'm sorry, I've been busy. It was true. I was busy but also deliberately avoiding him. Ego, if only my legs could move. Warm tears spread across my shirt. Then I wouldn't have to wait here for you to see me. I could hold onto you like brother. Feeling a surge of heat, I attempted to push Feng Ling away. Young master, please let go. Suddenly, his warm hand slipped beneath my shirt, pressing against my lower back, whispering, Ego, if Feng Chang can do it, so can I. You should also feel some pain for me. I suddenly realized my body was unreasonably hot, and I lacked even the strength to push Feng Ling away. I had been too tense before to notice the inexplicable fragrance in the air. Given the circumstances, it was highly likely that it was an aphrodisiac. Feng Ling left a trail of moist kisses on my lower abdomen, trembling hands, tears streaming as he murmured, don't push me away, Ego, I'm begging you. I held onto his hand, but before I could say anything, the door was suddenly kicked open from the outside. Upon seeing Feng Chang, he had already grabbed my arm, dragging me behind him, and landed a punch squarely on Feng Ling's face. He lifted Feng Ling from the wheelchair and threw him to the ground, preparing to kick him. I shouted urgently, Feng Chang, pulling at his arm with all my might. Feng Chang halted, refraining from delivering that kick. Turning his back to me, he said, Brother, can you not protect him in front of me? Tilting his head, the corners of his eyes reddening. I 1T hit him again. Can you stop being a hero for someone else? At this moment, I had no mind to listen to his nonsense. Struggling to contain my discomfort, I gripped his wrist, panting heavily, contact a doctor and get me an injection. Feng Chang did not respond, instead hoisting me away. Feng Ling screamed from behind, don't go, Yuani. You're not allowed to leave with him. I still retained a semblance of rationality, understanding Feng Chang's intentions. I articulated each word with clarity. Feng Chang, call me a doctor. Feng Chang replied, I am the doctor. By the time we reached his room, my mind was already hazy with fever. When Feng Chang leaned in to kiss me, I reversed our roles, pushing him against the door, fingers entwined in his hair, claiming his lips. Feng Chang, as if high on drugs, was even more fervent than I. He tore at my clothes, kissing my ears, neck, and collarbone, murmuring, brother, I really, really miss you. We were like two wild beasts, each eager to consume the other. We didn't even make it to the bed. The next morning, I couldn't find a single button of my clothes. They were scattered from the door to the windowsill, and ornaments lay shattered all over the floor. Feng Chang was nowhere to be found. I stood at the windowsill, smoking a cigarette when my phone vibrated. It was a message from Yi. Come to the 3rd floor, the ancestral hall. Ye's ancestral hall was dedicated to Guangong. Inside, Feng Chang knelt upright. Yi sat on a nearby sofa, a rattan whip beside him. Brothers fighting each other. Feng Chang, is this how you act as an elder brother? Act as an elder brother? Feng Chang scoffed, you forget, my mother bore only me. Feng Ji lowered his gaze, speaking in a deep voice. If you do not admit your mistake, then accept your punishment. Feng Ji handed me the rattan whip, urging me to take action. I opened my mouth. Yi, last night, the fault did not lie with Feng Chang. Feng Ji raised his gaze, calm yet unyielding, repeating, act. I lowered my gaze, murmuring, understood. There was no need for further words. Feng Ji was fully aware of everything. This was the Feng family. He was cognizant of all that transpired last night. He merely wished to reprimand Feng Cheng while shielding Feng Ling. In the process, he sought to chastise me as well. 100 lashes with the whip. Feng Cheng did not bend his back, remaining silent. After the punishment, I found myself covered in more sweat than Feng Cheng. Feng Cheng leaned against me, standing up, and gazed at Feng Ji. Are we still fighting? If not, can I leave? Supporting Feng Cheng, I led him out of the ancestral hall. He remained silent, as if lost in thought. Upon reaching the corner of the 3rd floor, he suddenly pressed down on my shoulder and whispered in my ear, "Brother, how about I buy you a whip? In the future, if I misbehave, you can punish me." His face flushed, and his lowered voice carried a hint of hoarseness. "Just now, the mere thought of you whipping me was quite exhilarating." I said, "Feng Cheng, stop being foolish." Having escorted Feng Cheng to his room, my phone buzzed with a new message. Study room. I clenched my phone tightly and hesitated outside before entering. Aren't we unfamiliar with each other? Feng Ji leaned against the balcony, beckoning me with a finger. Come here. As I approached, Feng Ji tilted his head, raised his hand to part my collar, and rubbed the kiss mark on my neck, calmly saying, "That kid has nearly worn you out with his kisses. Why is it acceptable for Feng Cheng but not for Feng Ling?" I had slept with Feng Cheng despite the medicine Feng Ling had taken. Indeed, he was fully aware of last night's events. I said last night was an accident. Feng Cheng's beauty was partly inherited from Feng Ji. If we were to rewind 2 decades, Feng Ji would likely resemble the current Feng Cheng. Yet, by this age, Feng Ji had tempered his sharpness, cloaked in a veneer of gentleness. Deep down, he was still a madman, i.e. 3 years ago you told me you were merely a bodyguard. Feng Ji's hand ascended, gripping my chin. Now you've shared a bed with my son. Feng Ji indulged in both men and women, maintaining a plethora of lovers outside. 3 years prior, in a drunken stupor, he had asked me, would you like to try something with me? I had declined. Lovers were lovers and bodyguards were bodyguards. Feng Ji was clear on the distinction. He did not lack for my presence. Feng Ji simply had a bit of curiosity. At his level, he had encountered all kinds and found no need to coerce anyone. When I expressed my desire to be a bodyguard, Feng Ji utilized me as such without further mention of anything else. However, now I had slept with Feng Cheng right under his nose. That could hardly be deemed a purely professional relationship. I stated, "Second master, I can resign." Feng Ji chuckled and released me. "You speak foolishly. After all these years, if you wish to leave, it must be with my consent." The Feng family was not engaged in clean business. Once you stepped in, there was no turning back. I understood the implications. Keep an eye on Feng Cheng for me. Feng Ji adjusted my collar. Don't let him ruin himself. I'm counting on him to carry on the family line, he said, lowering his gaze. You two can play around, but don't get too attached. Despite Feng Ji instructing me to watch over Feng Cheng, he assigned Feng Cheng to be away for a month, taking me along to various social events. In the private room, I drank until my head spun. Feng Ji patted the boy on his lap and nodded at me. The boy glanced at me and approached, asking, "Sir, would you like some water?" I lifted my eyelids to look at him, my gaze drifting over to Feng Ji. He sat in the dim light, smoke hazily obscuring his features, his cold eyes quietly observing us. Clearly, he was uneasy about me potentially entangling with Feng Cheng. I lowered my gaze and drank from the boy's hand. I drank hastily, and water spilled down the corner of my mouth. The boy tilted his head, attempting to lick it up. I blocked his mouth and said, "Did you just kiss someone else?" The someone else referred to only that one person. The boy's eyes widened. "Do you find me unappealing?" I smiled faintly and replied delicately, "I'm afraid so." The boy stomped his foot and ran off to complain to Feng Ji. I thought to myself, how dull. In terms of physique and looks, he fell far short. Damn it, I had been spoiled by Feng Cheng. After shielding Feng Ji from several rounds of drinks, I retreated to the restroom to vomit. After washing my face, I looked up to see Feng Ji standing behind me, offering me a handkerchief. I observed his slender fingers in the mirror and did not take it. Feng Ji stepped forward, grasped my face, and gently wiped my face. I struggled slightly, and he said softly, "Hold still." The handkerchief glided from my forehead down to my eyes and nose. "Xiao Yan says you find him dirty. Xiao Yan must be that boy from earlier." I chose not to respond. Is it because you find him dirty? Or is it because he kissed me? Do you find me dirty? I evaded his question, simply stating, Second master, if you keep wiping my face, it will become raw. Feng Ji chuckled lightly and tossed the handkerchief onto the sink. He pushed me, pinning me against the sink. One hand gripped the back of my neck while the other began to unfasten my belt. I offered no resistance. If Feng Ji was determined to have me, no amount of skill on my part would suffice. Second master, since Feng Cheng returned, he has been working exceptionally hard. Do you know why? Feng Ji's gaze remained fixed, unfazed as he undid my zipper. Because he desires your approval, hoping you will notice him more. 5 years ago, you pressed Feng Cheng's head and sent him abroad while keeping Feng Ling. At that time, the power dynamics in Hangzhou were shifting, making it perilous. You could only safeguard one son, allowing the other to fend for himself. You abandoned Feng Cheng, choosing Feng Ling. You intended to groom Feng Ling as your heir, but fate intervened, and you could not protect Feng Ling. He was captured, rendered unable to be the heir. Reluctantly, you had to summon Feng Cheng back. Had Feng Ling not been incapacitated, Feng Cheng would never have returned to the country, would he? After spending 4 years with the Feng family, I had heard enough rumors to piece together certain truths. Feng Ji raised his head, meeting my icy gaze through the mirror. I maintained eye contact. I can see through all of this. Do you think Feng Cheng is oblivious? Feng Cheng understands, yet he is foolish, still clinging to the hope that if he achieves something, perhaps you will regard him more favorably. At the very least, he hopes you will see him as your son. Feng Ji's brow twitched slightly. No matter how estranged, blood ties remain. I continued, Second master, I can sleep with you tonight, and I can sleep with anyone. You could wield this knife to eliminate Feng Cheng without hesitation. It wouldn't matter. After all, you are indifferent to his life or death. Feng Ji seized my neck from behind. Yuan, do not overestimate your worth. It is not that I overvalue myself. It is you who places too much importance on me. I pried his hand away and said, Second master, when you sent Feng Cheng abroad, did he plead with you? Feng Ji's expression darkened for a moment, a flicker of surprise crossing his face. I broke free, lowering my gaze to fasten my belt. Did he kneel before you? Was that his first time bowing to you, begging you not to send him away? Feng Ji did not respond. After 4 years of following him, I recognized his demeanor and knew I had struck a nerve. My heart felt as though it had been pierced, a persistent, dull ache. Not intense, but undeniably bothersome. I wanted to strike my boss. Taking a deep breath, I pushed Feng Ji away, unable to restrain my irritation. No wonder when Feng Cheng first met me, he claimed his parents were deceased. In his case, what difference does it make? I had incited Feng Ji's wrath, and he dispatched me on business, sending me on a whirlwind across the country for 3 months. Upon returning to Hangzhou, I was nearly a shade darker. Just after disembarking the plane, Feng Ji sent me a message. Tian Yuan Residence, 601, pick up Feng Cheng. The private room was chaotic. Nobody noticed when the door swung open. I searched twice before locating Feng Cheng. He was slouched on the sofa, clutching a bottle of alcohol, flanked by 2 young boys who were eagerly pouring drinks for him. He drank as they fed him. After finishing the drink, one boy attempted to unbutton his shirt, leaning in as if to kiss him. Feng Cheng reclined without moving. I loosened my tie and strode over. The young man pressed himself against Feng Cheng, cradling his face and coaxing, Yes, I am your brother. I'm right here. Does young Master Feng want me? I couldn't help but laugh in disbelief. If you're his brother, then who am I? Seizing the moment while the boy was momentarily stunned, I pushed him aside, knelt beside the sofa, propped myself against the backrest, and lightly patted Feng Cheng's cheek. Second master sent me to fetch you. Will you come with me? Feng Cheng's gaze wandered across my face before he lifted a hand to touch my cheek, murmuring softly, Brother, why don't you want me anymore? His mind seemed clouded. The alcohol here had a hint of aphrodisiac. I lifted him effortlessly and carried him out, placing him gently into the car. Suddenly, Feng Cheng grasped my collar, pulling me down, his lips crashing against mine. I was momentarily taken aback, then pressed his head down and kissed him back. Such a little creature, so wanton. Everyone seemed to want a taste. Perhaps I should just kiss him to oblivion. Feng Cheng rolled over, pinning me to the seat, eyes closed as he kissed me, trailing from my lips down to my throat, slowly descending. I still shut. He called my name, tears streaming down his face, looking utterly tormented. He might not even know who he was kissing. Had I not come, he might have ended up in bed with just anyone tonight, calling my name, crying, and kissing someone else. Could I blame him? Could I claim he didn't love me? This was my greatest fear. Feng Chang was too reckless. He was extreme, not valuing himself, not considering his own worth. Without my watchful gaze, he was indifferent to his own ruin. Being with someone like him was exhausting. I would constantly be engulfed in anxiety, fearing that if I lost sight of him for even a moment, he would be in trouble. Feng Chang he couldn't change. It was already past midnight when I did not return Feng Chang home, but instead booked a room at a hotel for a makeshift night. The next morning, I woke early. After freshening up, Feng Chang was still asleep, and I prepared to leave. As I reached for my phone by the bedside, I was suddenly seized by the wrist and pulled back onto the bed, his warm body pressing against mine, his head buried in my neck. Brother, have you been with Feng Ji? My body stiffened. Why would Feng Chang ask such a thing? Before I could respond, he suddenly bit down on my neck, and I gasped. Brother, say you haven't. You can lie to me if you want. The warmth on my neck was tears. I beg you, if you say you haven't, I'll convince myself to forgive you. I sighed. Who told you this? Feng Chang's body stiffened for a moment before he suddenly rolled out of bed, silently getting dressed. He even swiped my gun from the small of my back. Before he could leave, I grabbed his arm. Where are you going? Feng Chang looked at me coldly, to kill Feng Ji. My temples throbbed as I replied. I haven't slept with Feng Ji. Who spread this rumor to you? Do you understand? Feng Chang's eyes turned red instantly. Stop lying. He pulled out a photo from his pocket and tossed it at me. It was a picture of me and Feng Ji in the bathroom of the club. Feng Ji was seen pressing me to unbuckle my belt. It looked like we were involved. In the photo, Feng Ji's head had already been crushed. Few possess such incriminating evidence. Could only have been taken by Feng Ji or Feng Ling. It was unlikely to be Feng Ji. He hadn't intended to fall out with his own son. So it must be. Did Feng Ling give this to you? Feng Chang glared at me in anger, confirming my suspicion. I found his betrayed expression somewhat amusing. Rest assured, I didn't sleep with him. My pants weren't even unzipped. Then what's the story behind that photo? I couldn't explain it to him, merely stating, it is what it is. Feng Chang was visibly dissatisfied. His eyes wide as tears streamed down. Brother, you're so cruel. You can't even be bothered to explain to me anymore. You don't love me anymore. I laughed in anger. Feng Chang, who is truly the one being cruel here? The pent-up rage surged. You're the one who deceived me, the one who left the country without a word, and now you're the one entangled in confusion upon your return. Feng Ling gave you the photo, and you jumped to conclusions without asking, running off to drown your sorrows. If I hadn't gone to fetch you yesterday, you wouldn't even know who was in your bed this morning. Luckily, I don't love you anymore. If I still did, you could have shattered my heart and fed it to the dogs. By the end, my eyes stung with unshed tears. Feng Chang panicked, flustered as he tried to embrace me. No, brother. I wasn't drunk. I knew it was you. Last night, the moment you walked in, I saw you. I was pretending. I wanted to make you jealous. Please don't be angry. I'm yours and wouldn't let anyone else share my bed. I'm not that foolish. I can tell who I'm kissing. If I dared to sleep with someone else, you would left me long ago. Damn it. My anger flared even more. I punched Feng Chang, knocking him to the ground, then kicked him. Is this amusing, you idiot? After finishing my business, I returned to the Feng residence to report to Feng Ji. In the study, Feng Ji leaned back in his chair and said, follow up on the project in Lu City. I replied, thank you, second master. As I was leaving, Feng Ji added, Hangzhou, it's best you don't come back. I agreed. Passing through the garden, Feng Ling sat on the windowsill of the second floor, timidly calling out, Egu. I turned back, and Feng Ling flashed me a fragile smile. If I jump down from here, can you catch me? I looked at him for a long moment and replied, Feng Ling, no one can catch you. That's your own fate. I turned and left. In the wind, I caught a faint I'm sorry. Feng Ling may not genuinely care for me. He merely regarded me as his possession. His possession that he had no intention of sharing with Feng Chang. Lu City wasn't large, significantly smaller than Hangzhou. Feng Ji had taken on several major enterprises here, and I had been appointed as the general manager, which could be seen as a promotion. When Feng Chang came to find me, I was shirtless, working alongside a group of laborers to carry goods. It was simply a matter of boredom. Feng Ji asked you to be a manager, not a laborer. I didn't respond, merely wiped my sweat with a towel. Feng Chang began critiquing my office, deeming the desk unsatisfactory, the chair uncomfortable, and even criticizing the small ornaments on the cabinet with an endless stream of complaints. I was growing exasperated, splashed some water on my face, and asked, "What do you actually want?" Feng Chang fixed his gaze on me. "I want you to come back to Hangzhou with me." I replied, "Not going." Feng Chang grew angry. "Look at what kind of life you're living here. You were already dark-skinned, and now you've tanned even more." Standing before me, I almost thought you were a human-shaped chocolate. He even touched my buzz cut, seemingly lamenting something. "You've shaved all your hair. You used to look so handsome with that hairstyle. Now if you were in a field, I wouldn't even be able to tell you apart from a farmer." I felt a laugh bubbling up. Looking at Feng Chang, I said, "Young master, this is just how I am. I belong to this class and should live this way. Just because I wear a suit and tie doesn't mean I'm of the same ilk as you. I'm still fortunate. I've managed to become a general manager, which is already better than most. I'm quite comfortable here, even more so than at the Feng residence. After living a good part of my life through storms, I just want to live steadily from now on. Hangzhou is too vast. It's not suitable for me." Feng Chang fell silent, his eyes downcast for a long while before he murmured, "But I miss you so much." I swallowed hard, turning away. "Forget it sooner. The second master is still waiting for you to carry on the family line." Feng Chang lifted his eyes, gazing at me forlornly. "Brother, sometimes I really want to kiss that mouth of yours until it's ruined." He lunged forward to kiss me, still carrying on the family line. "I want to make sure Feng Ji has no descendants." I grabbed his hair, dodging his lips. "Aren't you the one who said I looked like a human-shaped chocolate?" Feng Chang began to unbuckle my pants. "I love chocolate. Give me a bite." Feng Chang recounted to me that on the day his mother was abducted by the enemies of Feng Ji. Feng Ji was anxiously awaiting the birth of Feng Ling outside his lover's delivery room. By the time Feng Ji set out to rescue her, his mother had already succumbed to her fate. Feng Chang harbored a deep-seated resentment towards Feng Ji, who reciprocated with an equal disdain for him. Clinging tightly to me, Feng Chang lamented, "Brother, no one loves me, no one cares for me, no one protects me, save for you." He continued, "No one ever told me to cherish myself, nor how to love others. Before I met you, I simply did not know how. I must seem rather childish, don't I? I apologize, brother. I yearn to prove that you will love me unconditionally." His hair was damp, and in a dreamlike whisper, he implored, "Brother, do not leave me, do not abandon me. Teach me, and I shall strive to learn. I wish to love you in the way you do." The pillow was drenched by his tears, rendering it nearly liquid. I gently stroked Feng Chang's head, embracing him in return, and sighed, "Enough now. Sleep, you little crybaby." The following morning, Feng Chang received a phone call from Feng Ji, summoning him back to Hangzhou. Meanwhile, I continued my leisurely existence in Lucheng, sipping tea, playing cards, and watching the sunset, living a life reminiscent of the elderly. Whenever Feng Chang found the time, he would visit Lucheng. When he did, I would keep him company and listen to his musings. When he departed, I did not urge him to stay, resuming my tea and cards as I watched the sun dip below the horizon. On one occasion, as he was leaving, Feng Chang remarked, "Brother, I can't shake the feeling that you no longer love me as you once did." I perceived the disappointment in his eyes. At 26, his gaze remained as fervent and anxious as it had been at 18. I understood what he wished to hear, yet refrained from speaking out of fear. Fear that if I revealed too much, he might squander it once more. I possessed no further resources to be squandered. However, I was willing to be candid. I said, "Feng Chang, it is not that my love for you has diminished. Rather, I have become wary of your deceptions. In your eagerness to affirm my love, have you ever considered that I too might feel insecure?" Feng Chang gazed at me for a moment, pressing his forehead against mine, our noses nearly touching. "It's all right, brother, you need not worry. It doesn't matter if your love for me isn't overwhelming." He continued, "As long as you stand here, let me love you in return." Subsequently, Feng Chang and Feng Ji had a falling out, prompted by Feng Chang's decision to drag me overseas to obtain a marriage certificate. Feng Ji called me in Lucheng, while Feng Chang found himself leaning against the balcony, enduring a scolding. The muffled echoes of Feng Ji's voice reached my ears. "If you like him, then support him. Why is it necessary to get married? To which Feng Chang retorted, "Who gets married without a certificate?" Feng Ji, clearly infuriated, exclaimed, "But he is a man. Father, he is quite traditional. Without that certificate, he cannot feel secure," Feng Chang argued. "This has nothing to do with gender. I love him, and I want to ensure his peace of mind. That is all there is to it. You've never loved anyone, nor been loved in return. You simply do not understand." I could hear Feng Ji's shouts growing louder in the stillness of the night, his emotional breakdown resonating clearly with me. However, after his tirade, Feng Ji reluctantly accepted the situation. Later, he called me and said, "Ai, you possess a rare talent." In his lifetime, Feng Chang has bowed his head to me only twice, and both times were for you. Had it not been for your protection, he would never again have called me father. I chuckled softly, narrowing my eyes as I replied, "I possess no such talent, second master. You simply do not comprehend." Feng Ji remained silent. Looking up, I saw Feng Chang tending to my two nearly lifeless potted plants on the balcony. I called out, "Feng Chang." He turned to me. I said, "I love you." Instantly, his eyes sparkled with renewed brightness, reminiscent of the fervor he had displayed at 18. The end. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe and give a like for support. Until we meet again in the next story.